The Kawasaki ZZR1400, everybody. Look at how pretty she looks in the sunshine, in that dusky sun. Looks wicked, doesn't she? Isn't she beautiful? What a fantastic motorcycle. Now, today we're going to be discussing whether or not this is just a hype motorcycle. You know what I mean? A little bit like the ZX-10R, a little bit like the Fireblade, where they're not actually that great for street riding. Yeah, I'm sure they're fantastic track monsters, but does this motorcycle fit into that same category? Is it just a hype motorcycle to generate some sales for the brand as a whole? Or does this motorcycle have some genuine use cases out in the real world? Most of us are street riders. Does this bike fit in with us? Let's jump on and let's find out. That might sound a little bit crazy to say, that the ZX-10R isn't really that good. And to be honest with you, I tend to find that 600cc Supersports are more suited for street riding if you really are desperate for a Supersport. 600s, I think, are a good balance. The 1000s, the Fireblades, the R1s, the Gixxer 1000s, these bikes are absolutely revolutionary, and you do absolutely need them, because a lot of that technology, a lot of that development that goes into, that goes into those bikes does filter down to motorcycles that aren't quite as premium. So they absolutely are necessary in the space, and they do need to be bought, but they are apparently some of the worst performing motorcycles in terms of sales everywhere, in every market. And I think the main reason why is because they're not streetable at all. So the ergonomics is one thing, aggressive ergonomics, but you can deal with that. If you really wanted to ride bikes like that and enjoy them, the ergonomics aren't the issue. The issue is with the way they perform, because they produce all of their power in the last 5,000 RPM. And a lot of these bikes, they're revving up to 13, 14, 15,000 RPM. And guess what speed you are doing when you get up to those RPMs? You're doing over 100 miles an hour, which means that you are not going to be able to experience the true power of the bike. You're not going to be able to enjoy the bike at its most, because you have to be breaking every single speed limit in your country to do so, to actually enjoy it thoroughly, to actually use it. And that, I'm sorry, but that doesn't make for a good street bike. It's really interesting how back in the day, when it wasn't all about just horsepower, bikes like the ZX9, the Triumph Daytona 955i, bikes that I have owned or own today, they're not like that. Yes, they do have a lovely amount of top-end horsepower, but they have torque and power all the way through the range. So they are, despite the fact that they have super aggressive ergonomics and they're very uncomfortable bikes to ride, they are genuine super sports that you can enjoy on the street, because you don't have to be going ridiculously fast to experience a little bit of that power. And that's where the ZZR1400 fits in. Bloody hell. All the flooding that we've had recently, it's caused havoc on a lot of these roads. It's really shredded them up. Blimey. Yeah, what was I saying? This is where the ZZR1400 really fits into the market, and why it is better than the ZX-10R. Not just because it's got more torque, And this generation of ZX-10R has more horsepower as well. Right, that doesn't matter. The fact that you can experience power and torque right from the get-go, that is what makes this bike better for street riding. Yes, I have no doubt that when it comes to track day use, the ZX-10 is going to beat the ZZR. Mainly because it has such a long gearing compared to this bike. So this bike in first gear, I think I can get it up to about 75-80 mile an hour right at the top end of first gear. ZX-10R, over 100 mile an hour in first gear. Absolutely insane. And that is, I think, part and parcel again, is another reason why bikes like that don't sell all that well, because they're geared far too long. It's funny, isn't it? Why do you think Teslas are so popular? Why do you think drivers enjoy driving them? Because the motors have direct torque to the wheels. You are feeding that torque straight away. Whereas with an ICE like this one, most of the time you do have to give it some revs to experience the power. But not with bikes like the ZZR1400, the ZX-14. You are getting performance, power, right from the word go. Straight off the line, you're getting power. Which is great because it means you can enjoy it up to the speed limit and then back off. So you can ride it innocently. But if you really did want to give it the beans and you don't really care about speed limits and things like that, it can give you a load of top-end horsepower to boot. Seriously. Hey, you know what? This bike against that Tesla Model 3, this bike is quicker. 0 to 60, quarter mile, this bike is quicker. And that's a dual motor as well, Tesla. Yeah. This is a crazy bike if you want it to be. But if you want to ride it like any other motorcycle, you can. I did another video, I shot another video earlier today about whether or not you can daily ride the ZZR, and again, that's another thing about this motorcycle. This is a bike that you can daily ride, unlike something like a ZX-10R. Crazy, man. The fact that you look at one of these bikes and you think, no, that is way too much power, never going to be able to use it. On this bike you can enjoy it. Okay, most of it is in first gear, but still, first gear is the most fun, right? Seriously, guys, you would be missing out if you treat this bike like you would a ZX-10R. You'd be missing out. You'd be doing yourself a disservice. I'm being genuine. I'm being sincere here when I say this. I know we say a lot of things that might sound a little bit too good to be true when it comes to the ZZR. But I'm speaking from the heart here about this motorcycle and how I feel about it. And after riding it for 4.5, 5 years now, I really do feel the exact same way about this motorcycle that I did in the first year of me riding it. It is that good. But no, this is not a hype motorcycle. When this bike came out, and it came out to try and compete with bikes like the Hayabusa from Suzuki, again, not a hype bike. The Hayabusa, not a hype bike. They are genuine motorcycles that have a lot of appeal, not just because of their performance or what have you, but because you can actually ride them and you can use them. Whereas the ZX-10R, Fireblades, R1s, yeah, you're going to enjoy riding them, but you're only going to be able to enjoy riding them up to 10,000 RPM. Just before you get to the power band. You know what I mean? What's the point in having a motorcycle where you can't even reach the power band to enjoy it? And that's what these bikes are all geared towards, pardon the pun. They are geared literally and figuratively to provide the most amount of power right at the top end of the RPM. And because they are, again, geared so long, you're going to really struggle to get there. I know for a lot of younger riders this might not be as much of an issue as it might be for someone like me, but I don't like getting caught speeding. Yes, I do it a lot, alright, and I like enjoying my bikes, okay? Sue me. People should be allowed to enjoy their motorcycles, but I don't take it overboard. On roads like these, I don't like to go crazy. It's just way too dangerous. But on a motorcycle like this, you can give yourself a little bit of that power, a little bit of that adrenaline, and then you can lay off when you come up towards the bend. ZX-10R, however, you can't do that on the ZX-10R. I've ridden it, I've done a ride review on it. It has next to no power up until you get to 8, 9, 10,000 RPM. Then it goes like a rocket. It's a fantastic experience, and it is an experience that I'll remember, but I really don't think that that's a motorcycle that I will ever buy. For that reason. Sounds crazy, I know, it sounds absolutely mad. But I'm being serious, wholeheartedly. That's how I feel about bikes like the ZX-10R. And they're all cut from the same cloth. Previous generations of the ZX-10R I think were actually probably better. The first gen ZX-10R I think was probably better because it didn't have the 15,000 or 14,000 RPM limit that this new generation one does. So it can't afford to be geared all that long. But because it has a narrower RPM band, narrower RPM range, you've got more of that power to play with. You can access more of that power, a little bit like this bike. You can access more of the power. But the reason why this bike is unique is because it's not just at the top end. It's all the way through the rev range. And even though most of the fun can be had in first gear, you can still have a lot of fun in second, third, fourth, because it still has a lovely amount of torque, even in those gears, because you're right down in the RPM range, you bang on the power, it's still there whenever you want it. You know what I mean? Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So is this a hype motorcycle? Just a hype motorcycle? Oh bloody hell, that flooding is insane. Woo. Maybe this wasn't the best way to go. Oh god, I don't want to do this. The poor ZZR. And I gotta go back the way I came as well. Oh dear, that's probably made it incredibly dirty. I'm really sorry. ZZR, I'm really sorry. I will clean you, I promise. Oh god. Unbelievable, man. The weather we've had the last few days has been insane. Crazy weather. But anyway, everybody, is this a hype motorcycle? Absolutely not. Yes, it is a motorcycle that did generate a lot of hype and a lot of interest, but it is genuine hype and genuine interest that you can actually enjoy. You can actually buy and enjoy this motorcycle on the street every single day. not just on the weekends, not just when I don't know, you want to give the police a high five or a speed camera a high five, you know what I mean? Yeah man, a brilliant motorcycle, all round brilliant motorcycle, and extremely usable as well, and I love it, I really do. This is quite an underrated motorcycle, especially around social media, things like that. You get a lot of attention around bikes like the ZX-10R. The bikes like this that are genuinely better don't get as much attention as they deserve, because people think that they are cut from the same cloth when these bikes are not. The 1000s, yes, these bikes are absolutely not. But thank you ever so much for joining me on today's lovely little autumn ride on the wicked Kawasaki ZX-14R. And don't forget to leave that like, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell as always, so you don't miss any more content on this wicked motorcycle. And we'll catch you all in the next video. Have a good one.